Jason short story. The rain hammered my windshield, mirroring the storm inside. I gripped the termination letter, crumpled and slick with tears, my world feeling like it was ending right there in that car. For years, I'd just drifted, letting fear dictate my choices. Afraid of failure, afraid of trying, I'd built a life that was fine but utterly hollow. I was stuck, paralyzed by my own doubt. But that day, something snapped. Instead of numbing out, I picked up a pen. Next morning, I forced myself out of bed 30 minutes earlier, not to conquer the world, but just to plan one tiny thing for my day. Slowly, those 30 minutes became a foundation. I built something new, something meaningful, not just a job, but a purpose rooted in helping others find clarity. The fear never completely vanished, but it no longer controlled me. I had reclaimed my power. You have that same power. That turning point isn't somewhere out there. It's right inside you right now. It starts with one small, consistent act of defiance against what holds you back. Today, choose one small step, decide on one thing you've been avoiding, and commit just 10 minutes to it. Full story, the rain hammered against the windshield, mirroring the storm inside me. I gripped the termination letter, crumpled and slick with tears, reading redundancy over and over again. My stomach churned. This wasn't just losing a job. It was losing the last shred of identity I thought I had. I was 35, jobless and utterly lost, staring out at the blurred city lights, wondering how I'd ever arrived at such a desolate place. /n growing up. I was always the good kid, the one who followed the rules, played it safe. I listened to my parents when they said to get a stable job, even if it meant shelving my own quiet curiosities. So after college, I landed in a corporate cubicle, a place where days melted into weeks, then years. I was a cog in a machine, performing tasks that felt meaningless, yet I clung to the routine like a lifeline. Inside, a nagging emptiness grew. My dreams felt like distant whispers, things I'd once cherished but had long since abandoned, buried under layers of realism and responsibility. I'd have ideas, small sparks of inspiration, but they'd always fizzle out. It's not practical, I'd tell myself. You're not good enough. Who are you to try something different? Those self-doubt voices became the loudest ones in my head, drowning out anything hopeful. I remember spending my evenings scrolling aimlessly, seeking an escape in other people's highlight reels, feeling increasingly inadequate. I was sleepwalking through my own life, convinced this was just how it was meant to be. The job wasn't terrible, but fine had become my biggest enemy, trapping me in a comfort zone that was slowly suffocating me. I developed a fear of failure so intense, it paralyzed me from even attempting to succeed at anything meaningful. That termination letter felt like the universe screaming finally that fine was no longer an option. /n that absolute emptiness, the realization that I had no backup, no passion project, nothing meaningful to fall back on, was my rock bottom. It was late afternoon, still raining. I drove home, the silence in the car deafening, the weight of my perceived failure crushing me. I walked into my empty apartment, slumped onto the couch. Instead of turning on the TV, something I'd always done to numb out, I just sat there. And then, almost without thinking, I picked up a pen and a crumpled receipt from my pocket. I started writing down anything. Not goals, just thoughts. Chaotic stream of fears, anxieties. And then, almost surprisingly, a few faint desires. Wasn't profound, but it was something different. The next morning, still reeling, I forced myself out of bed 30 minutes earlier than usual. Not to run a marathon, not to conquer the world, just to sit with a cup of coffee and that same pen and paper. I told myself, just plan your day, just one small thing. What's the one thing I can do today that feels like it moves me forward, even a millimeter? That day, it was simply to research what other jobs existed in a different field. The very act of taking control, however, tiny, felt like a defiance against the despair. /n those 30 minutes became my sanctuary, my battleground. Some mornings, my alarm would scream, and I'd fight the urge to just hit snooze and disappear under the covers. My mind would flood with reasons to quit, with excuses about how pointless it all was. But I kept showing up. Day after day, I'd ask myself, what's the absolute smallest step I can take today? It wasn't always glamorous. I was researching an old interest, local artisan markets, online courses in digital skills. I was reaching out to one person for an informational interview, a terrifying prospect for someone as introverted as me. I'd send an email, hands shaking, then obsess over the lack of a reply. I started taking an online course in project management, something that felt completely outside my comfort zone. Many evenings I felt like giving up, thinking, who am I kidding? This is too hard. I'm not smart enough, creative enough, brave enough. I failed often. My first attempt at a small online project went nowhere. I poured hours into it, and it just fizzled. Few networking attempts felt awkward and unproductive, leaving me feeling even more discouraged. But then there were the tiny wins. Finishing an online module, getting a helpful, encouraging response from someone I contacted. Quiet satisfaction after a productive morning of focused work. Each small step, each small win chipped away at the old beliefs. It wasn't a sudden burst of genius or a lottery win. It was a slow, deliberate chipping away at the walls I'd built around myself. Some days it felt like I was moving backward. Other days like I was pushing a boulder uphill. But I just kept showing up for those 30 minutes, then an hour, then 2. I learned to celebrate consistency, not just grand achievements. I learned that showing up, even when you don't feel like it, is the most powerful act of self-belief you can perform. /n/and then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, things started to coalesce. I began noticing patterns, the skills I was learning in project management, the desire for clarity and organization that had driven my early morning planning, the conversations I was having with small business owners who felt overwhelmed by their digital lives. They weren't random. They were all orbiting around a central interest I'd never allowed myself to acknowledge: helping others find structure and efficiency amidst the digital chaos. I realized my own struggle to find clarity. My methodical approach to breaking down overwhelming tasks was a valuable skill. It wasn't a giant aha moment like in the movies, but a quiet, dawning realization over several weeks. I began offering my organizational skills to a few local small businesses, initially for free, just to build experience and confidence. Feedback was incredible. People genuinely needed this. The biggest breakthrough wasn't financial, though that certainly followed. It was the visceral realization that I was capable of navigating uncertainty, of building something from nothing, and of trusting my own instincts. It took almost 2 years from that rainy day, but I launched my own small venture. It wasn't about getting rich overnight, but about building something that aligned with my values, something that truly helped people. I now help individuals and small businesses navigate the complexities of digital organization and productivity, something that grew directly out of my own struggle to find clarity and purpose. Fear never completely vanished, but it no longer controlled me. Instead, it became a compass, guiding me towards growth. /n/n so, what's the secret to turning things around when you feel completely stuck? It's not a secret at all. It's the profound power of the smallest possible consistent action. We often paralyze ourselves with overwhelming goals. We tell ourselves we need a grand plan, a perfect strategy, or a sudden burst of motivation. But that's a trap. Don't try to climb the entire mountain today. Just put on your hiking shoes, or just look at a map, or just pack your water bottle. Momentum doesn't come from a sudden leap. It comes from repeatedly taking tiny, almost insignificant steps. You don't need to know the entire path forward. You just need to take the next single, small, concrete step, and then another. The path reveals itself as you walk, not before. /n/, and you might be sitting there right now, feeling that same heavy weight I felt, staring at your own version of a termination letter, whether it's a career dead end, a relationship struggle, a health issue, or just a deep, unsettling sense of unfulfillment. I see you because I was you. That spark inside you, it's still there, just needs a tiny breath of action to catch fire. Don't wait for permission, for a sign, or for someone else to tell you you're ready. You are. The future you want, the life you dream of, isn't going to suddenly appear. It's built brick by tiny brick, starting today. Take back your power from those overwhelming feelings by focusing on the absolute smallest thing you can control right now. Today, choose one small step. Think of one thing you've been avoiding and just dedicate 10 minutes to researching it. Session id, story 20,240,423, life story 001.